YouTube, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the channel Do You Remember? I'm your captain, Nostalgic Nick, and this is our continuing mission to seek out new scandals and new gossip, boldly sticking our nose where they've never gone before. Star Trek debuted in 1966 and launched a franchise that's still very popular today. But network executives frequently insisted on edits, and one particular episode was so controversial, it has been banned for over 4 decades. So what's the most controversial episode of Star Trek? What episode of Star Trek was banned, and why was Star Trek canceled? Get ready to learn which episodes were too hot for TV. But before we begin our log entry, hit that thumbs up button for us and subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss a video. Remember to set your phaser to stun before you enter the turbo lift, and try not to stand too close to anyone wearing a red uniform. Trekkie or Trekker? The Star Trek universe includes 12 series, 13 feature films, and nearly 900 episodes. But what's the official term for Star Trek fans? Okay, so Trekkers believe that Trekkie is a pejorative for the type of fans William Shatner famously told to get a life on SNL. When Bill and Hillary Clinton were embroiled in the 1996 Whitewater scandal, an Arkansas juror named Barbara Adams even wore a Starfleet uniform to the hearings. The attorneys didn't object, but the judge later dismissed her after she spoke to the press. Richard Arnold worked with Gene Roddenberry for 15 years, and he settled the controversy once and for all in the documentary Trekkies 2. Arnold said that after Roddenberry used the term Trekkies at a convention, a fan yelled "Trekkers" in response. Without missing a beat, the great bird of the galaxy replied, "No, it's Trekkies. I should know, I invented the thing." But the debate of course still rages on, and Urban Dictionary defines a Trekker as a Trekkie with no sense of humor. What was the most controversial episode of Star Trek? Whatever they're called, Star Trek fans have plenty of opinions about which episodes are the best, the scariest, and the most controversial. We're not brave enough to step into that buzzsaw, and plenty of bloggers have volunteered for the away team. We also have to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. CBR's Annalisa Fincher chose Operation Annihilate, where Captain Kirk orders the elimination of a species of single-celled parasites that are killing off planets. The species seems to have no redeeming qualities. But Fincher writes why no one on the crew questions the decision to commit genocide. John Samuel Brown from What Culture chose the Enterprise series finale, These Are the Voyages, a hastily produced tag-on episode that attempted to wrap up multiple storylines when the series was cancelled after 4 seasons. Brown believed Commander Trip Tucker's on-screen death served absolutely no purpose, and it was insulting to the cast to produce a frame episode on the holodeck focusing on STNG characters. Jonathan Frakes was also 57 years old in 2005, clearly too old to pass for Picard's number 1. Cast members too certainly get a vote. Tim Russ told the Ready Room podcast he considered the Season 2 Voyager episode Tuvix the most controversial. Plato's Stepchildren. In Plato's Stepchildren, the Enterprise crew is forced to humiliate themselves for the amusement of a race of telepathic aliens. The episode featured TV's first interracial kiss, and NBC executives were afraid of backlash from Southern affiliates. Director David Alexander was ordered to shoot a take where Kirk and Uhura did not kiss, but William Shatner intentionally crossed his eyes to render the take useless. Lucky for them and lucky for society, the viewer mail was all positive and not a single viewer complained. Nevertheless, the BBC objected to the episode's torture and sadism, refusing to air it until 1994. We'll get to the other banned UK episodes shortly. Speaking of on-screen kisses, In Rejoined, a group of Trill scientists arrives at Deep Space Nine led by Lenara Khan. whose symbiont was once married to Lieutenant Commander Dax's symbiont. Trill are forbidden from reassociating with partners of past hosts, but the old lovers realize they still have strong feelings for each other. But Captain Sisko is prepared to support Dax no matter what decision she makes. And Terry Farrell said it was her favorite episode because it enabled her to stand up for the LGBTQ community. But one affiliate edited out the kiss from the initial broadcast, and the producers had to bring in extra staff to cover the phones after Rejoined aired in 1995. Harbinger. Trekkies rarely agree on anything, but the overwhelming consensus is that Enterprise was one of the worst series in the Star Trek universe. But that didn't mean they did not hit that pause button every time a scene took place in the decontamination chamber. In Harbinger, Trip and T'Pol finally consummate their complicated relationship after 3 seasons of sexual tension. And viewers get to see her bare Vulcan backside, buns and all. But the episode was scheduled to air 10 days after Janet Jackson's infamous wardrobe malfunction, so her tushy was cropped out of the US broadcast as a precautionary measure. However, the scene remains intact on the DVD. Banned by the BBC. In Miri, Kim Darby plays the title character who lives on a dystopian Earth-like planet where children contract a fatal disease when they reach puberty. After the episode was broadcast by the BBC, several viewers got their knickers in a twist and dropped angry letters in the post. The BBC reviewed the remainder of the episodes, and Sheila Kundi of the Program Correspondence section released an official statement that read, "After very careful consideration, a top-level decision was made not to screen the episodes entitled The Empath, Whom Gods Destroy, Plato's Stepchildren, and Miri, because they all dealt most unpleasantly with the already unpleasant subjects of madness, torture, sadism, and disease." The Empath. The Empath was DeForest Kelley's favorite episode, and many fans consider it among the best of the series. In the episode, the away team beams down to a doomed planet where they're submitted to torturous experiments by powerful aliens. If you're a flub spotter, pay attention to the way that the bruises and bloodstains change positions, and also watch Captain Kirk's arm position change while he's shackled up. The Empath was the second most watched Season 3 episode, but it was not aired during summer repeats because the torture was considered too graphic for the earlier time slot. Whom Gods Destroy. In Whom Gods Destroy, the Enterprise crew beams down to Elba 2, a Federation facility for the criminally insane. They discover that the inmates are actually running the asylum, and they're under the control of a shape-shifting alien. The beautiful Yvonne Craig guest stars as Marta in the episode. Don Kay from Den of Geek considers it one of the worst of the series, and its blatant similarities to the Season 1 episode, Dagger of the Mind, did not go unnoticed. In his 1975 memoir, I Am Not Spock, the great Leonard Nimoy includes a memo he wrote to the producers complaining about this script. The Icarus Factor. Star Trek's action scenes are usually relatively bloodless and sometimes a little campy, but the producers decided to shorten Lieutenant Commander Wolf's violent ascension ceremony in the Icarus Factor. Entertainment Tonight's John Tesh guest stars in the episode as one of the pain stick-wielding Klingons, but at least he did not torture Worf with any of his music. To the Death. In the Deep Space Nine episode To the Death, Captain Sisko leads a combined task force of Federation, Bajoran, and loyal Jem'Hadar to destroy a planetary gateway before it falls into Dominion hands. The episode featured some of the most intense hand-to-hand combat in the Star Trek universe, and the task force unalives 52 Jem'Hadar renegades before destroying the gateway. But 45 seconds of fight scenes were cut from the broadcast, and the episode's total body count was lowered to 20. Patterns of Force. In Patterns of Force, the Enterprise travels to the planet Ecos to investigate the disappearance of Professor John Gill, a Federation observer. The crew soon learns that Professor Gill violated the Prime Directive in a major way, installing himself as the Führer of a society that wears Nazi uniforms and imprisons people from their neighboring planet. Star Trek costumers scrounged up leftover uniforms from Paramount's wardrobe department, but Leonard Nimoy refused to appear in publicity photos wearing that Nazi uniform. You see, it was right before Hanukkah. The episode was also banned from German television for 43 years because it violated the German criminal code. Section 86A of the code outlaws the use of symbols of unconstitutional organizations outside the context of art or science, research or teaching. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and Patterns of Force soon aired on premium cable in a reunified Germany. The episode was also released on DVD and aired on public TV in 2011. Why was Star Trek canceled? The NBC brass was disappointed by Star Trek's ratings, and William Shatner did not expect the series to be renewed at the end of season 2. When rumors began spreading that Star Trek was about to be canceled, Gene Roddenberry secretly funded an aggressive letter-writing campaign. NBC reported receiving almost 116,000 letters supporting the show between December 1967 and March of '68, including one from New York State Governor Nelson Rockefeller. So NBC considered moving Star Trek to Monday nights, but didn't want to compete with Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. So instead, the show was moved to the infamous 10 p.m. slot, the Friday night death slot. Roddenberry told one interviewer, quote, "If the network wants to kill us, it couldn't make a better move." And the Peacock pulled the plug in February of '69. TV Guide ranked the decision number 4 in 2011's 25 biggest TV blunders. Conspiracy. We always believe in ending with a bang, which brings us to the Next Generation episode Conspiracy. In the penultimate episode of the first season, Picard and Riker travel to Earth to discover that several senior Starfleet officers are inhabited by mind-controlling parasites. In one particular scene, the special effects crew filled a plastic mold of Paul Newman's head with meat and used it to simulate Lieutenant Commander Remick's exploding head. Executive producer Rick Berman was concerned the effect was too graphic, so visual effects coordinator Dan Curry showed the episode to his 6-year-old. His son loved the episode and even suggested creating a Remick action figure with an exploding head. Berman aired the uncut episode and it won a Primetime Emmy, but the graphic scenes were cut from the episode in the UK, and Canadian networks required a content warning at the beginning of the episode. Star Trek has captured viewers' imaginations for nearly 6 decades, and most of us dream of a day when we will enjoy their advanced technology, living side by side with alien races. But until then, we have plenty of TV shows and movies to tide us over, including the new series Lower Decks, Picard, and Strange New Worlds. Alright, now we've returned from our mission, we are ready to hear your thoughts. What was your all-time favorite Star Trek episode? Have you ever met any of the cast members at a convention? What's your favorite new series of the franchise? And what about favorite film? Get in the comments and tell us all your thoughts, we know you have a lot of them. If you enjoyed our controversial Star Trek deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up to show support. And also subscribe to the channel so you never miss a deep dive. And from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you very much for watching.